Hello, it is me, Casey. This is a very unfortunate video. I never thought I would be making a video like this, and it's just it's just an awful tragedy, and it's unfortunate that I have to even make this video. American singer-songwriter, California native, visual artist, meme extraordinaire, meme aficionado, who's been in the meme-verse and been in the pop music landscape for a long time, Oliver Tree, has passed away in a helicopter accident just a few days ago. And I don't think that this has fully processed within me yet that he is gone. And it's just so strange. Because for the longest time, I really was like, this wasn't even in my head that someone like Oliver could be next. But he was. It just doesn't feel right. And it's extremely tragic. It's extremely unfortunate. I listened to his music for like 5 or 6 years now. I listened to Oliver's music, and while I wasn't always the biggest fan of some of his music, I still to see anyone lose their life in such a tragic way, especially at 32 years old, is absolutely horrifying. No one deserves this. No one deserves to lose their life at this very unfortunate young age. And Oliver was one of the most captivating, was one of the most beautifully inspiring people that I have ever had the pleasure of watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Music, just listening to his creative work. His music videos were unlike anything I'd ever seen. His music videos were so insanely funny and so insanely absurd and so insanely creative that, like, I think he was like redefining an era of the multimedia practice that was happening within music. He was cultivating his own empire of crazy like razor scooters and crazy like BMX driving cars and rocket launchers, and like in the All That and Alien Boy music video where like you could see him like exploding, like I don't know if it's like a monster truck or something. I mean, he was a visionary and somebody that could take anything. He could cultivate pretty much any selective vibe that he could do it, and he could do it amazingly. He could do it like in a way that was just extraordinary. And I had the pleasure of being able to listen to his recent project, Love You Madly, Hate You Badly. And while it wasn't amazing, I still thought it was one of his better projects in years. And it's so unfortunate that what happened to him, because it truly just hasn't struck me. This doesn't feel real. This doesn't, I didn't think I would ever be having to talk about the fact that Oliver Tree passed away. It just still hasn't hit me yet. It doesn't feel real. That's how intense this is because we lost someone who was truly a light in a world of darkness. And I think that with time, it's going to, we're going to have to, this is ultimately, this is a part of the grieving process. This is literally like denial. This is one of the first steps of the grieving process, especially if you're like a fan of an artist like this. We tend to grieve in different ways, and but denial for most people is the first aspect of this. And It's just extremely unfortunate. Extremely unfortunate because he had so much life to live, and all of that was taken away from him in a moment's instant. I want to rewind to some of my first moments discovering Oliver Tree. When I was in high school and I had a very limited music taste, I was pretty much just circling around things that I thought were the most popular at the time. The most baseline things I could think of, the most, like, SoundCloud rap was something that I was getting into, pop music, or just anything out of the ordinary, anything that I could get my hands on. And one of those things was a single that was released by Oliver called Alien Boy. Alien Boy was one of my favorite songs that I had heard that year. It was so incredibly catchy. I loved the chorus. I loved the quirky pop instrumentation. I loved his very nasally voice. And I thought it was just a really fun, just innocent track. And then years later, I would discover that Oliver had finally released an album called Ugly is Beautiful. After all this time, Oliver finally released his first album, Ugly is Beautiful, and I messed with it. I fucked with this album so much that it was one of my most replayed albums of that year. It was just so much fun. And as everything continued to grow, I saw someone who was unflinchingly ready to commit to the bit, unflinchingly ready to commit to pretty much anything. And he did it so well. He did it with so much ease. It was actually insanely how well he was able to craft these narratives around like a cowboy being rejected after not being able to like have a threesome on songs like Swing and a Miss and Cowboys Don't Cry, where effectively he was kicked out of this big like mansion-esque house and he's singing right in front of the house, and like a guitar is literally like protecting his groin area because he's completely unclothed. And just these concepts are so insanely unique and so insanely creative. And while the music sometimes wasn't always hitting for me, like the creative concepts behind the storytelling that Oliver was trying to do was just insanely cool. Like, because I really don't really see people go to these very maximalist lengths to create these very over elaborate, really like tongue-in-cheek, ridiculous types of music videos. And maybe that's a bit of an overestimation because we have seen people like that before. I would argue that My Chemical Romance is a band that sort of does that kind of thing with the very tongue-in-cheek sort of like high concept music videos, like if you're talking about like I'm Not Okay or Helena or songs like that. But this is more goofy and more, obviously we're talking about a way different genre here, which is like straight up pop rock and electronic. And also he was an incredible rapper. His rapping skills were like on par with like a Beastie Boy. And like that's something I really messed with Oliver Tree, is that like he could replicate that sound and that era so incredibly well. So to sum this up as neatly as I can, I am extremely saddened by what has transpired in the last few days, and I almost didn't want to believe that. I didn't want to believe this because it struck a nerve in me, because I actually enjoyed this guy's art really extremely well. His interviews are so fucking hilarious, dude. Oh my God, his interviews are so funny. He just seemed like such a genuine personality and such a genuine person. And the fact that he's not here anymore, it just messes with me. It just messes with me. It just messes with me so bad. Oliver Tree, rest in peace. We will miss everything about you. How you were able to be an inspiring light in a world of darkness, how you were able to make people, like inspire people with your comedy, inspire people with your music, and inspire people by just being you. ugly is beautiful. Oliver Tree, rest in peace. Thank you for the memories. God bless your heart, man.